watched helplessly. The plane finally sank to the bottom of the Mediterranean, the crew not knowing if anyone on board was still alive.
They're saying nobody should have survived, that nobody should have crashed.
Another look at the horrifying crash and another key question. Could this accident have been prevented? Take a look at this videotape just obtained by hard copy. What you're seeing is a frantic effort by crewmen to erect an emergency barricade on deck. After missing 5 previous attempts to bring the plane in, the barricade is supposed to help snag the aircraft and bring it to a gentle stop.
We didn't really know what to expect, having never seen the barricade go up before. We didn't know what the aftermath or the after effects of his crashing into the barricade would be.
But now hard copy has learned the barricade was not properly deployed. A sag in the middle left the barricade almost 8 feet lower than regulations call for. The reason? A vital part is missing. But with the plane running out of fuel, there's no time to fix it. Even before the doomed plane made its attempted landing, commanders made a decision that might have saved all 7 lives. After the second landing attempt, an airborne tanker was dispatched to refuel the troubled plane, but bad luck struck again. There was more equipment failure. The hose mechanism was faulty.
When they found out he was low on fuel and the tanker was not working or crippled, they could have had another airplane in the air to fuel him with another tanker.
Again, the crash and the questions. What if the Sky Warrior had been successfully refueled? What if the barricade had been properly deployed? What if the rescue team had been allowed into the water? Questions which haunt the veterans and families now that the Nimitz incident has been revealed, caught on tape.
The only thing I would like to say, if there's somebody sitting there that knows something, I wish they'd come forward and give us all peace of mind.
The Pentagon has declined comment on the questions raised in our hard copy investigation. But the rescue crewman we interviewed said he was told his team was kept out of the water after the crash because of fears that in a dangerous night rescue mission, more lives might have been lost.
The Pentagon has kept hidden for years. It shows a tragic crash aboard one of America's largest aircraft carriers, the USS Nimitz. Now the victims' families need your help. Doug Bruckner has the latest on the Nimitz incident in a hard copy special investigation.
This is the exclusive footage the Navy doesn't want you to see. The grainy nighttime video locked away for almost a decade and never released by the Pentagon. It's just before midnight on the aircraft carrier Nimitz, January 1987. The 7-man crew on this plane is in serious trouble. The 26-year-old pilot has become rattled, and he's made 5 approaches, failing to land each time. Now, short on fuel, this is his last chance. Then disaster. The jet hits the deck, sliding in a shower of sparks. The plane slides off the edge of the enormous ship and plunges into the icy cold waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Peter Valinsky was an eyewitness to the disaster.
He ended up coming in high, missing the barricade. Actually, the front landing gear clipped the barricade. The aircraft slammed to the deck and skidded off over the ship.
Another look at the attempted night landing on the Nimitz.
Roger, 34 knots. Good start.
As the plane, known as a Sky Warrior, approaches, the flight controller calmly coaxes the panicked pilot onto his glide path. The nose of the plane has to hit that reinforced web barricade to bring the powerful jet to a gentle stop.
All right now. Don't go high.
It's a naval aviator's most dangerous job, landing a speeding jet at night. But for this pilot and his crew, the pressure turns out to be too much. Landing signal officers realize right away the plane's approach is too high, and frantically, they try to get the pilot to cut his engines.
Cut.
Now watch closely as the jet's landing gear clips the top of the safety webbing, dooming the men on board to their tragic fate. The crew on the flight deck can do nothing but watch in horror as their fellow sailors skid right off the runway.
People were saddened that the aircraft had gone over. They were hoping that bodies would be recovered, or possibly somebody had lived through it. But there wasn't much hope at that point.
No one on the plane was found, and the jet and its occupants sank into the shadowy darkness. Patrick Price, 28 years old, married. Craig Rudolph, 20, from Milwaukee. Ron Callender, the navigator, a Vietnam vet with 3 children. Lieutenant James Richards, 27, married. Lieutenant Stephen Batchelder, 30, married, 2 children. Richard Herzing, from St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, a last-minute addition to the crew. And the pilot, Lieutenant Alan Levine, from Long Island, New York. And here is another exclusive video that raises still more questions about the 7 fatalities. Jenny and Denny Herzing are parents of one of the men on board that Sky Warrior.
My big question is why there was no attempt whatsoever to get them people out of that plane. That's my son's life. And, you know, at least make an attempt to do something.
The rescue helicopter in the center of your screen was in position to do something, and it appears there was plenty of time to do it. Because as this tape clearly shows, when the jet hit the water, it didn't sink right away. Much of the plane's fuselage remained intact after the crash and floated for 9 minutes. Here you can clearly see the plane's tail section bobbing in the water as the horrified crew of the Nimitz looks on. Still, the crewmen aboard that helicopter were given orders not to attempt a rescue.
If there was any chance at all saving that person or saving anybody there, we should have done it. We should have tried, at least tried. And if I'd have lost my life doing it, that's fine.
But there was no rescue attempt. Why? Perhaps because of the plane's mission. Hard copy has learned that the Sky Warrior jet was actually a spy plane, just back from a sensitive intelligence gathering mission over the Middle East. Sources say the Sky Warrior may have been spying on Libya or on Soviet warships also in the region.
The first reason that they gave me was that I didn't have a security clearance high enough to enter that aircraft. The other reason that they gave was that there was exploding bolts on the escape hatches in that aircraft.
Did the Navy sacrifice 7 men to protect its secrets? No one will ever know for sure. From the helicopter hovering 40 feet above the floating wreckage, Jeff Wiggett and the rescue crew watched helplessly. The plane finally sank to the bottom of the Mediterranean, the crew not knowing if anyone on board was still alive.
The only thing I would like to say, if there's somebody sitting there that knows something, you know, I wish they'd come forward and give us all peace of mind.
We first reported on this story several months ago. As a result of pressure from the victims' families wanting the Pentagon to come up with some answers, the Defense Department has begun an inquiry. Now the victims' families want Congress to begin a formal investigation, and you can help by calling or writing your local representative. We will keep following this story.